I've spoken with many consulting business owners in the past who didn't even know that their consulting business was heading in the wrong direction. What I mean by in the wrong direction is that if they didn't make big changes, they would essentially be out of business. So in this video, what I'm going to do is share with you 6 specific things to pay attention to that will help you to not only maintain, but to grow and take your consulting business to the next level. So the first is that people start to see, if they pay attention, this is actually key because many people don't pay attention to this, but what you'll start to notice as one sign is that the numbers or the number of conversations that you are having is starting to decrease. And oftentimes this can show up that the number of referrals or introductions that you were receiving from different people is dwindling, right? It's what I often call that referral well. It starts to run dry. And we'll talk more about the marketing kind of part in a minute and what to do about that. But if you're noticing the number of conversations that you are having, if you're noticing the number of leads and kind of qualified people coming into your business is decreasing, that's a really important number to pay attention to. And very often consulting business founders and owners don't pay attention to this until it's too late. So keep track of this. Make sure that you are actively working on your business. Now, what do you do about that? Well, you want to make sure that you actually have a marketing engine, right? A way to generate qualified leads, to have conversations, to get in front of your ideal clients in a consistent manner so that you don't have to be reliant only on referrals and your network. Figure out where your ideal clients are, figure out how to get in front of them, make sure that you have a message that gets their attention and interest so they want to have a conversation with you. This is all stuff that we help our clients with at Consulting Success. And it's key because if you're only relying on referrals, if you're only relying on your network, if you're not paying attention to the numbers that truly matter, you're very likely to wake up one day and realize that you have no momentum in your business. The project that you were expecting to start, the clients that you had lined up, all of a sudden they pause, they change, something gets delayed, and you now have to start from scratch. So the more proactive and the sooner that you start working on establishing a real strategic approach to marketing and having a marketing engine inside of your business that consistently brings you high quality leads and opportunities, the stronger, the more resilient, and the more successful your consulting business will be. All right, so let's talk about number 2. Number 2, and this can really hurt consultants and businesses, is a lack of diversification. I've spoken to many people over the years who will say, I'm a consultant, I have a consulting business. And when they describe what they're doing and who they're doing it for, it actually comes out that they have one client they work with, maybe 2. And if those projects get delayed, or if that client, even if the project ends naturally, there's no business, right? It's essentially they are a contractor, they're work for hire. And so when we talk about client diversification, there's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind. The first is that if you have fewer than 5 clients, you're really putting a lot of business into or a lot of risk on the table. And you have a lot of risk inside of your business, right? If you think, well, let's just say that you have 3 clients and now one of them all of a sudden stops. And then a second one, because something in the industry changes, they make a big change, right? You lose anywhere between 1/3 to 2/3 of your income. And if you only have 1 or 2 clients, right? If there's a change there, all of a sudden, even if you're making a lot of money right now, you could be in a pretty kind of precarious position. And so what we have seen over the years by doing many studies and talking to hundreds and hundreds of consultants and having thousands take part in our programs and different surveys that we've done is that for most consultants, you need between 5 and 20 clients per year. So if you have fewer than 5 and significantly fewer than 5, right, you really are at risk of not having enough diversification. And then the other is from an income perspective or revenue perspective. If you have one client that is bringing in, more than 25% of your income, that is also a real risk. So you want to diversify by having multiple clients at any given time. And you also want to diversify by not having too much concentration of revenue and income coming from any one client. And you see this where you might work really hard to land kind of a whale of a client, right? A really big client that's paying you a lot of money, but they're now taking up so much of your time or your team's time, and so much of your revenue is coming from just that one client that if anything happens to that relationship or anything happens inside of that organization, often it can be unexpected, right? You are in a bit of a pickle, as some people say. You're in a bit of a challenging situation because you potentially have lost a big portion of your revenue and income. And if you have a team and you have people that are relying on you, family members, whatever it might be, that's not a good place to be in. So avoid working with any fewer than 5 clients, and avoid having more than 25% of your revenue or income coming from any single client. All right, let's talk about number 3 that can really hurt a consulting business founder. And that is a lack of a clear pricing strategy. So you want to focus on profits, right? Not just on revenue. But I see a lot of consultants who are doing consulting work, but they're not actually focusing on what is the profitability profitability of that work. And this can show up in many ways. You might be relying too heavily on discounting to win business. You might be winning a project with a fee that is not sustainable, and you're doing it because you haven't really thought out what is the pricing strategy and how long will it actually take me or my team to deliver this work. What do we actually need to put into it? And so it's really important that you understand not only how to generate revenue inside of your business, but you actually understand the profitability of every client or type of project, and so that you can continue to optimize, right? When you have a real pricing strategy in place, we've seen this with so many clients that we've worked with over the years, you're able to not only, make a lot more as a company and a business owner, but actually keep a lot more. And we've also seen people who don't pay attention to their pricing strategy, don't really think about it, and they can end up being very busy doing a lot of work, right? Essentially, they have a very busy job that they've created for themselves. And when they look at how much they've actually been able to keep from after paying out contractors or full-time people or for different resources or whatever, they have not kept a lot of money. They're not actually making a lot of money, right, on the bottom line, because they haven't paid attention to what is the profitability of every project and what is the profitability of every client. So number 3 is really having a clear pricing strategy. And this is about, again, the profitability. It's also about what is the model that you're using, right? Whether it's retainers or project fee or value-based, whether it's performance-based, advisory, there's so many different models of how to set your pricing strategy, and each of them can work exceptionally well, but it needs to be done in a very thoughtful and strategic manner. Number 4 is connected to number 3, and that is continuing to serve low-paying clients. And often this happens because the business owner is scared about what's going to happen when they start to charge higher fees. And so I've seen this, countless times with consulting business founders who they are still working with clients that they had many years ago, yet those clients are still paying the same rate that they were paying, many years ago. And so you end up having these clients that are, some that are paying you low fees, others that are paying you much higher fees, but the ones that are paying you lower fees, you feel that you have a relationship with them. You don't want to rock the boat. You're scared to have that conversation about increasing your fees. And so inevitably what ends up happening is you fill your calendar and your availability, your capacity with clients that are really suppressing your ability to earn higher fees. And so this, when it happens, when it starts to happen, it may not feel like a big deal, but as time goes on, if you don't pay attention to this, and if you don't adjust and essentially work to, and speak to those clients about how to make an adjustment and how to, get your fees back up to where they can be, you're going to end up leaving a lot of money on the table. And what that does is it hurts your ability to grow. It also hurts your ability to be profitable. And so you might end up working with a bunch of clients that are low paying, where you could actually create significantly more capacity in your business because maybe 3 clients, are bringing in $10,000 a month between the 3, let's say $3,000 give or take per client, and that's $10,000 a month over those 3. But you might have now, a year or 2 later, other clients are coming in and they're paying $7,500 or $10,000 per month for one client. And so you're doing 3 times the amount of work to make a lot less than you are. Whereas if you had just one client, you'd be making the same amount as 3 older clients. So this, again, may not feel like a big deal right away, but as time goes on, it can really hurt your consulting business. And so you want to pay attention to how you handle and make sure that you have a strategic approach and, a way to have that conversation, kind of know what is the process and how do you handle this and what to look for. Again, these are things that come up all the time as we speak to consultants. Number 5 is that you get so busy doing work and delivering on client projects that you actually don't spend time. You're not proactive, you're not thoughtful, you're not intentional, and you don't create the space to think about and work on actually growing the business. So if you're, and this happens very often, right? You become successful, you become busy, you're doing great work for clients, you feel like all the right things are happening, but inevitably one day you wake up and you realize, okay, what was kind of working in our business maybe isn't working the same anymore. Or, I've been so busy just delivering on projects that I now woke up today and realized that we don't have a good, strong, robust pipeline of opportunities for the next 6 or 12 months. And so as a consulting business founder, and this is a big distinction between just being a consultant or a contractor and just simply doing the work, as a consulting business founder and owner, right, it is your responsibility to make sure that you're not only thinking about what's happening right now in your business, but you need to look to the future and make sure that the business can survive and thrive for the future. And this becomes especially important as you build a team, whether contractors, freelance, part-time, full-time. It's also important if you have dependents. Maybe you have a spouse or you have kids or you have elderly parents. These are all things, right, that you want to be thinking about. And so having a business that is going to be sustainable for the long term is incredibly important. And you need time to think. You need time to, be strategic. You need time to make decisions. You need time to plan and to work on the business, not just work in the business. But oftentimes people are so busy just doing the work that they're not creating the time. They're not delegating. They're not doing the things they need to do to create that space where they can actually be very thoughtful and strategic about the future of their business. And then number 6 that can really hurt a consulting business, and it again won't often appear and be top of mind right away, but it's that the competition is starting to gain market share. The way that this typically comes up, and I've had a lot of conversations with consultants about this, recently because of a lot of technological changes and just what's happening in the economy and in the environment around the world, is that you're stuck in your old ways of doing things. What was working for you in your business 3 years ago or 5 years ago may not be working for you today. And so even though you may have achieved a certain level of success and you feel kind of, okay about where you are, if you want to get to that next level, if you want to continue to grow, then it's not simply about maintaining what you have. Because if you're not doing anything new, if you're not pushing the bar, if you're not looking at how can you add more value or create, bring some innovation to the market or serve your clients and understand where the market is going, not where it is necessarily today, but where it's going. If you're not doing those things and the competition is doing those things, that eventually is going to actually pull you from where you are down. So it's not simply like business is not simply about just maintaining where you are and just kind of treading water and hoping that, that things continue to be the way that they've been. Business is always about thinking about where do we go from here? Where are we today? And what should we do today? But also what do we need to be doing today that's going to set us up for success tomorrow? And so I think for any business owner, it's important that you're always thinking about innovation. And that doesn't mean, most consulting businesses they're not tech businesses, right? You're not necessarily churning out code and doing a whole bunch of R&D. So when I say innovation, I'm not referring to like massive, big, innovations that will change the world, but rather thinking about how do you continue to improve, whether that is your systems, your marketing, your sales functions, your delivery, how you build authority and your intellectual property, how your finances, your HR or your team and the culture. There's many aspects to it, but always be looking for how can you continue to improve? Because if you're just sitting and staying where you are, you're almost certainly going to kind of decelerate or you're going to go down as opposed to going up. And right, growth happens when you're thinking about not where you only are today, but where you want to go. And then you take steps that are going to help you to get there. So always look for ways to improve. There you have it. 6 different things for you to be thinking about to help you to ensure that your business not only survives, but thrives. Number 1, make sure that you focus on the number of conversations, what's actually happening inside of your business. Number 2, pay attention to diversification. Number 3, pricing strategy. Number 4, make sure that you continue to look at your high value versus low value clients and make adjustments that might be necessary there. Number 5, ensure that you have time to actually work on the business, carve out space to be strategic, to think about what needs to change, what the future might look like. And then number 6 is don't allow yourself to get stuck in your old ways and recognize that what worked for you in the past may not necessarily be working for you today or work in the future. And so get a plan in place and make sure that you know how to move forward with confidence and constantly work on improving your business. If you'd like help with any of this, if you'd like to have a strategic plan and have guidance and support around that, that's exactly what we do at Consulting Success. We've worked with over 1,000 consultants in our Clarity Coaching program dedicated to help consulting business founders to grow and scale their consulting businesses. Just head on over to consultingsuccess.com or click on the link below the video here and get in touch. And we'll be happy to chat with you about how we can help you and support you to get to that next level.